Hello, everyone. Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, here with you again today. And I want to focus on a family of plants that are really beneficial when it comes to so many aspects of our health. They've both been around for so long and have been used medicinally for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it comes from the ginger family. And in the ginger family, unbeknownst to many people, they don't even recognize that turmeric is part of the ginger family. So we have a brand new formulation that actually combines those two. So we have turmeric extract along with ginger extract. And this is important for a couple of different reasons. First and foremost, we want to think antioxidants, but we also want to be thinking about targeting inflammation. So, one thing that we know 100% for sure is that every single chronic disease state out there has an underlying common backbone, one would say, and that happens to be chronic low grade inflammation, which can be really problematic. I always say that's kind of like a slow burning forest fire. And when we look at any disease state, we can see that chronic low grade inflammation is a major factor in that. So you can look at different diseases. We can look at diabetes. We can look at cardiovascular disease. We can look at issues that we know are inflammatory related, such as arthritis. And we see that it is this constant exposure to the overabundance of these different cytokines and leukotrienes, things that are certainly driving up inflammation in the body. Now, many times when people think about inflammation, we think about it only in the setting of acute inflammation. And that's okay to think that way. But what we really need to take away is that it's that chronic inflammation that is so problematic for us. So, acute inflammation, that's warranted. We like to see acute inflammation. That's when we have an injury or an illness, and you want to see that your immune system can react in a appropriate fashion. Now, that's going to come and then it goes. But chronic low grade inflammation is inflammation that you don't even recognize. It's not like you look down and you see an inflamed wrist, for example. So, this is hidden inflammation. And there are ways that you can assess this. There are multiple different blood tests that you can have done that can detect low levels of this chronic inflammation. You can look at things such as high sensitivity C reactive protein, for example. We can look at markers such as homocysteine to look for vascular inflammation. So there's a lot of different ways to really detect and assess your level of inflammation. But what we do know is that as Americans, we suffer significantly when it comes to chronic disease states. So, some of them I had already mentioned diabetes, other metabolic conditions such as metabolic syndrome. Maybe you're a pre diabetic. We know that there's over 80 million pre diabetics in this country. We can look at the over 50 million plus. We know that that's actually quite a small number when it comes to people who have arthritis. Now that's doctor diagnosed arthritis. There's many people who walk around on a regular basis with achy joints who do not have the diagnosis of arthritis. So we know as Americans that chronic disease states are a major problem. So let's go back and look at that ginger plant family. And there's, I think, somewhere around 50 different um, subspecies that fall into the ginger family. So, but we're predominantly going to be looking at ginger root extract and turmeric. Now, oftentimes when we think of turmeric, we think about the rhizomes of that turmeric, which produces curcumin. And it is those curcuminoids, that this constituent that is deriven from the turmeric, that yields all of these wonderful targeted medicinal benefits. So when we look at clinical research studies, we can see that both ginger and turmeric have been studied in the setting of looking at how they target inflammation. Now there's many different ways in which inflammation presents itself in the body. And there's different pathways. We know that both turmeric as well as ginger target the COX-1 and COX-2 pathways. So that's the cyclooxygenase pathways. Not that we're going to get heavy into the science on that, but what we do need to know is that When we have a lot of inflammation, it is because of the release of all of these cytokines and leukotrienes continuously over time that this is what drives up all of these issues and can exacerbate any type of a disease state. So, one thing that we know is that when we have a disease state, we have inflammation, but we also generally have high amounts of oxidative stress, which can do damage not only at that cellular level, but when we're thinking about different systems. So, this is what's great about your turmeric and ginger extract is these are both packed with these powerful natural antioxidants that can help to fend off free radicals and really target the oxidative stress that we know is creating all of this damage. So we can look at the curcuminoids in particular coming from the turmeric. And then in ginger, it's the gingerols in particular that are very beneficial. Now, what's interesting is that both the turmeric and ginger have been, as I mentioned, utilized for hundreds of years when it comes to medicinal benefits. But when we look at the clinical research, this is where it's really interesting. Both of these have been studied quite extensively when it comes to a whole slew of different human health conditions, including arthritis, so very extensively in osteoarthritis, as well as rheumatoid arthritis, so easing inflammation, trying to regulate the way that the body is responding to that release of all of these inflammatory cytokines. But we know that both of these have also been looked at in the setting of GI support, so this is also very good because we know one thing about our GI system is that 70% of our immune system is located within the GI tract. So the healthier our GI system is, the better off we are. Now, many people have probably heard about turmeric being used as a spice in cooking. Same thing with ginger. And many people have probably heard that ginger can be very beneficial when it comes to digestive health. And for some people who maybe get seasick, if you're out on a boat, things like that, maybe you've heard someone say, hey, maybe you should have a little raw ginger. Well, there's a reason for this. We know that that ginger and those gingerols do so much in terms of targeting a lot of the enzymatic pathways that can drive up that sensation of being nauseated. So there's a lot of different utilizations for both of these nutrients, including for support of blood glucose regulation. So if we have a tendency to have excess glucose, doesn't mean that you're a diabetic, but excess glucose circulating in the system that can create and generate problems such as glycation, then that is not a good thing. We don't like that. So we know that both ginger and turmeric target glycation reactions and help in terms of supporting a healthy blood glucose response. So now you can start to see, wow, no wonder why I've heard about turmeric and ginger throughout my life. Maybe there is something to it. Yes, there's a reason why they've been around for so long and why so many people have turned to them for a variety of different ailments and health conditions because the science is backing both of those when it comes to being beneficial across the board when we think about systemic problems. We think about excess inflammation, and all of us want to make sure that we keep inflammation at bay. The problem is that most people following a standard American diet are always going to be walking around in this pro inflammatory state, even though you don't recognize it, you don't see it. It's not like you stubbed your toe and you can see that it's red and inflamed. Chronic low grade inflammation is that slow fire that does damage over time. And many times it's irreversible damage. So we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, that we're taking the right nutrients. And I always say if we can turn to things that we know come from nature, such as turmeric, such as ginger, these are common things that many of us have used for a long time when it comes to different recipes. Wouldn't it make sense to incorporate this into your daily routine? So, whether it be for easing inflammation, whether it be for helping to support healthy blood glucose, whether it be for supporting healthy digestive tract, or for brain health or heart health, we know that both of these nutrients are very, very beneficial for our overall health and wellness. So I certainly encourage you to go to our website, invitehealth.com, check out the turmeric and ginger extract, and maybe you can find a way that you can work it into your routine. Now, I will be back with you guys in a few more days, and I'm going to be talking about more nutrients that can help to optimize and support your overall health and wellness. Thank you so very much.